Hey guys, another unexpected live stream because the College of Policing have today released the independent review of Lancashire Constabulary's response to the Nicola Bulley case. So we've been waiting for this. It was promised. They said it'd be out later in the year, and here it is. So, it's 143 pages, guys. It's 143 pages. So I haven't read it. All I've seen is the media and everyone's fan favourite, Peter Faulding, saying that he found Nicola's body in 6 minutes. But yeah, so I could spend this time taking the mickey out of Peter Faulding, but I'm not going to. Not yet, anyway. I'm going to read the report. And I'm not going to do it all in one sitting. And what I mean by that is I'm going to read you the report, but I'm not going to read it all in one sitting. None of us are going to be able to digest 143 pages. Some of them are appendices. So if we go down to the contents, you see here, we've got the executive summary, the methodology, Chapter 1, investigation, leadership, communications, release of personal information, external influence, glossary, investigation timeline, initial timeline, full methodology, conclusions, recommendations. We'll probably read it all. Because that's the way I roll. Not just going to look at one news report, laugh at Peter Faulding and say that's that. Yeah. Oh God, not Peter again. Yeah. I can see Twitter is already alight with oh, this is a stitch up, and oh dear me, it's all going to start again. But I think probably it will be short-lived because most people won't read the full report, and most people will, once the media stops talking about it, will forget about it again. So let's say a few hellos before we get into this, and I'll give you a very quick summary into the case, just to remind yourselves of what happened in this case. And if you're brand new to it, well, I have a playlist. 83 videos, some of them live streams, some of them regular videos. I made a lot of videos on Nicola Bulley. She went missing on the 27th of January of this year. So that's when I started making videos, a couple of days after that. So, yeah, but for those of you who have never heard of this case before, I'll give you a very quick summary in a second or two, but let's see who's in the house first. CW, Nikki. It should be interesting. Yeah, it should really be interesting. Karen, Marit. What else have we got? Laura, Mommy, Sandra, Salty, Purple AJ, Cecile, Shazza, Mom's Amore, Laurie, who else? Karen, Kai Mojo. Have I said everyone? Mike, hello. Your local grandmummy, Rue, Avocado Toast. What a great name. Oh, really? I think I probably have all the creators blocked who covered Nicola Bulley. I think I just got pissed off with them all and blocked them all. And I've probably not even gone back and unblocked them all now. I probably should if they've moved on to other cases. I probably should. I'm probably missing out on content that I would otherwise enjoy. But yeah. All right. So very quick recap into Nicola Bulley. It does have kind of a little bit of a in the investigation part. It does have a little bit of kind of context, but 27th of January of this year, Nicola went to take her dog for a walk, a Springer Spaniel called Willow. This is something that she did every single day. Either her or her partner, Paul, took Willow for a walk every single day. They dropped the kids off at school. So whoever's turn it was to do the school run, they would literally drop the kids off at school, which was about 3 miles away from where they lived. So they're 2 little girls. And they would leave the car at the school because there's a parking area at the school. And then they walk. It's 2.5 minutes. I've timed it. I've been there, been 3 times to the scene. I should probably add that it was in my county. So this happened in Lancashire in the UK, about 25 miles away from where I live, in the village of St. Michael's on Wyre. So for those of you not familiar, it's kind of near Blackpool. Anyway, so yeah, I've been there 3 times. I've timed the route. I've timed all sections of the route. I filmed it all. I did everything. All right. So it's 2.5 minutes walk from the parking lot at the school to the beginning of the trail. And there's a trail that takes you by the River Wyre. You walk by the River Wyre for a little bit. It passes a little farm, cottage type thing. It comes onto a field. There was 2 fields, the lower field and the upper field. And what Nicola would do is she'd walk round the lower field and the upper field and then walk back and then walk back to her car. So it's not a long walk at all. Probably, I don't know, can't remember now. Maybe about 1.25 miles, maybe, all round trip. So this particular morning, she didn't return home. She was normally home by 10:30 latest. Paul got worried. And in the meantime, unbeknownst to Paul, who was 3 miles away at his house, because he worked from home, Willow, the Springer Spaniel, had been found along with Nicola's phone and Willow's harness, and attached to the harness was the lead. So it was common practice for Nicola to take Willow's harness off when she got to the field, and they were found by a bench by the River Wyre. So there was lots of speculation in the early days. I went there on the 6th of February, so a week, just over a week after Nicola vanished. I looked at the scene, I filmed the scene, and it became very clear to me what had happened to Nicola, having been there. So the majority of people didn't agree with me, but it turns out that at her inquest, which was held eventually, it's exactly what happened to Nicola, although people still refused to believe it. So the inquest determined that Nicola had drowned, that she'd fallen in water that was just above freezing point. It was a cold morning. And the combination of the fall down the bank, it's a very steep bank. I've got all the film. I've got everything filmed. You can go and look at look up everything in that playlist that I've got. And the sharp, jagged rocks down at the bottom. It's not particularly deep at the edge where the bench is until you get maybe 2 or 3 feet away from the bank, and then it's just a steep sheer drop. So the combination of the fall plus the coldness of the water, they determined, would have been enough to cause essentially a cardiac arrest, and she would have died very quickly. So she drowned. And her body was found 23 days later, about a mile away from where she disappeared, where Willow was found. And yeah, the conspiracy theories and everything just went crazy. That's why I ended up blocking a bunch of people on Twitter. I blocked a bunch of people on YouTube. Yeah, cold water shock. Yes. Yes. Okay. All right, let's start reading then. So we'll probably read maybe we'll read the executive summary, the methodology. We'll get into chapter 1. And then I'll probably need to do this in maybe 4 parts, maybe. Depends how much I want to kind of provide commentary. It got absolutely crazy. Crazy. But if you went there, if you saw it, I don't think that any amount of filming of that location did it justice. If you went there, it was so obvious. And the fact that I've got a Springer Spaniel, I was able to test some of the theories that were being bandied about. And what can I say? What can I say? Anyway. Oh, by the way, Cassie still watches those videos of her at St. Michael's on Wire. The gate test video is her favourite because she's moody, right, Cassie? I don't know whether I've said this before. She's a very moody dog. Like, Tilly and Noodle are just proper mellow, but she's moody. Like, the slightest thing, she gets in a mood over it. And then she's in a mood for hours. So she's in a mood. I play her the gate test video, and she absolutely loves it. I don't know. I think she remembers the sounds and she remembers the day, and she just comes to life. Her mood lifts. Anyway, all right, let's start walking. Let's start walking. Let's start reading. I wish I could just start walking, but no, I'm going to start reading. All right. So this is the College of Policing Independent Review for those just coming in. Independent external review of Lancashire Constabulary's operational response to reported missing person Nicola Bulley was published today at the College of Policing. Okay. The Office of the College, the Office of the Police and Crime Commissioner for Lancashire, made available under Open Government Licence version 3. Available to download at college.police.uk. I've put the link in the description box. Okay. All right. Our independent review of the Nicola Bulley case has sought to provide an external perspective on the investigation and associated activity conducted by Lancashire Constabulary in January and February 2023. Throughout our work, we have had Nicola's family and friends in our thoughts. We can only imagine the pain they are feeling in coming to terms with their loss, and we pay tribute to their strength and patience. We hope that the completion of this review will allow them the space to continue to grieve in peace. The work of the review team has been extensive and thorough. The team has examined over 350 documents, emails and phone records, interviewed more than 70 key people from Lancashire Constabulary, and gained insight from over 30 subject matter experts outside of the Constabulary, including from the media. The purpose of the review has never been to attribute blame, but to identify areas of learning for the Constabulary and wider policing. While there are elements of the review that inevitably will be critical, there are also areas of Lancashire Constabulary's response that should be commended as demonstrating the very best of policing. We have summarised our findings into conclusions and recommendations. These outline why the review team found the tactical management, professionalism and thoroughness of the operational aspects of the investigation to be exemplary. Our findings also show that the policing search response to recovering Nicola was conducted to a high standard and drew on national expertise, one of whom was not Peter Faulding. We'll talk about Peter when we get to that part of the report. Okay. In contrast, the review team has also identified learnings for the Constabulary across its senior leadership and communications. Despite the significant scale of coverage regarding the investigation across the media and social media, there appeared to be a lack of recognition of the investigation's profile and the impact on public confidence in the Constabulary. The failure to call the investigation a critical incident, despite meeting the national definition, led to several challenges. The release of personal information about Nicola remains the most controversial aspect of the investigation. The Constabulary missed several opportunities during the investigation to remove or reduce the requirement to disclose further information about Nicola's vulnerabilities. It should have anticipated that this information would be requested or would come to light from another source. In our view, despite it being lawful, the release of this highly sensitive information by the Constabulary was ultimately avoidable and unnecessary. So, Peter was a knob. He totally was and continues to be. So if you're not familiar with the case and you've not had a chance to go and watch the 83 videos yet of mine, this is actually video 83, so there's only 82 that you need to watch. Partway through the investigation, it was actually a few days before her body was found. They had a press conference and they released the fact that Nicola was having problems with alcohol. She'd had problems with alcohol for a long time, but she'd had a relapse like around Christmas time. So like, and there'd been a call out to her house on January the 10th. So about 2 weeks before she went missing. And this disclosing of this personal information, the fact that she was menopausal, she was having problems with taking hormone replacement, it was giving her headaches, so on and so forth. All of that was disclosed, and it contributed to a media storm. It didn't, in retrospect, it really didn't help. It really didn't help. But anyway, we'll wait till. I mean, honestly, I was surprised that they'd released that information. I don't think it was incredibly detrimental. It wasn't detrimental to the case. It was detrimental to the media and particularly social media and the way that they were viewing the investigation. I can't remember really what I thought at the time. I'll have to go back and listen to what I said after that press conference. I remember playing the press conference, and it was weird. It was a press conference that it was obvious that there was something that they were going to say, and then they didn't say it. And then just after the press conference finished, then Lancashire Constabulary released this press release. It was weird. It was weird the way they did it. Honestly, if Nicola's family was okay with it, I was okay with it. I think that was my view. I can't really remember. But yeah, we'll wait and see what the College of Policing says. Woodchipper, thank you for the $2. Happy Thanksgiving. We don't have Thanksgiving here in the UK, but happy Thanksgiving to everybody who celebrates it. So is it on Thursday? I think it's on Thursday. Do you really believe a previously suicidal person fell in a river? Yes, I do, because I nearly fell in the river. I nearly fell in that river at the same place where Nicola fell in. So yes, I fall regularly. And whether I was previously suicidal or not does not contribute to how regularly I fall. And how anybody might fall on slippery ground. Steep, slippery ground. And no, before the rumours start, I've never been suicidal. But I have had a family member who took their own life. So I saw the fallout of that. Okay, let's keep on reading. I had to sort out the whole damn thing. All right, let's keep on reading. Other learnings can be taken from findings about the advice from communication professionals and other operational leads not being followed, as well as the insufficient attention given to the importance of the constabulary's media response. It was compounded by several errors by the constabulary's media and engagement team early in the investigation, which led to external voices being able to dominate the narrative surrounding the case, mentioning no names, Peter Folding. While there was a substantial learning for the constabulary, there was also findings and recommendations relevant to national policing. The review found the wider relationship between the police and the media to be fractured and identified that action needs to be taken on all sides to help build trust. The impact of social media on policing, and I don't think Lancashire Constabulary, I mean, Lancashire's a big county. Let me just explain. Lancashire's a big county. Let's get up the map. I need to explain this because the majority of my viewers are actually not in the UK, and very few of you are in the northwest of England, even if you are in the UK. So let's just get a map of Lancashire to show you where it is and what it looks like. It's quite a big county, but much of it is rural. Okay. Okay, so this is Lancashire right here. So in the north, it backs up to Cumbria. So you've got Cumbria here to the north and the Lake District. So that's all very rural. So north of Lancaster, it's very rural. Once you get past Lancaster, you lose your phone signal forever. Because I used to go up to Scotland semi-regularly. I used to go to conferences and stuff. And I knew once I was on the train and past Lancaster, I wasn't going to get a signal till I was in the Scottish borders. It's just really, really rural. And then it borders, Yorkshire is on the eastern side. And then you've got the Forest of Bowland in the middle there. And the... Oops. Oh, no, I didn't want to do that. Why did it do that? I didn't want to do that. And it's only in the south where you get to Preston is a city. And then you've got Burnley, which is a reasonably sized town. You've also got Blackburn. Blackburn's not on here. So it's quite a big county. Why does it keep doing this? I don't want it to do that. It's quite a big county, right? I live on the very southern tip of Lancashire. So I'm only a mile away from the Greater Manchester border, so I'm in the south. But where Nicola disappeared from is about there-ish. So Lancashire the point is, Lancashire Constabulary cover all of this, right? It's the police force that covers all of Lancashire. And apart from Preston and maybe Burnley, that are a relatively high crime, and of course Blackpool, that's in Lancashire as well. That's mega high crime. But apart from these kind of pressure points, Blackpool, Preston, and then maybe to a lesser extent Burnley, even Lancaster doesn't have a high crime rate. You know, the policing is centered around city policing, like policing things like drunken revelry in Blackpool and Preston, drunken students in Preston and Burnley, lots of burglary. There's lots of knife crime in Preston, lots of hate crime, because there's particularly Preston, Burnley, Blackburn, there's a high percentage of Asian people, so South Asians, so Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, etc. People, and there's a lot of racism and there's a lot of tension between the white British and the Asian communities. Probably a little bit less than they used to be. Like, you know, I could go back to the days of the Burnley riots, which was crazy, but I won't. So that's the kind of policing that Lancashire Constabulary are used to doing, like city policing. You know, policing nightclubs, policing, and they have I've seen them all the maps and everything they've got like these real hot zones. So that's where the policing is focused. But what they're not used to is having eyes on them, like high profile cases. They're just not used to it. I mean, when was the last time there was a high profile case in Lancashire? I can't remember one. Last year we had Katie Kenyon. There was a murder in Burnley, and that didn't receive. I covered it, but that didn't receive any real attention from social media, even though it was a murder. So they're not used to it. They're just not used to it, and I think they did not understand social media. That became very clear that they did not understand what social media does. And I think maybe that's something that UK policing is not familiar with either. I think and I think I made this point at the time, that dealing with social media, having a strategy about social media, is something that all police constabularies in the UK need to get better at. And I wholly agree with myself there. Okay, let's move on. The impact of social media on policing was illustrated starkly, and the significance for investigations and public confidence must be acknowledged. The activity to address both these areas of learning must now be considered closely at a national level, including by the College of Policing. Yes, I 100% agree. The police services, police constabularies, forces throughout the UK, they're living in the dark ages as far as social media is concerned. I think certainly in the US, maybe there are still a lot of problems in coming to terms with social media. We've seen it in the Summer Wells case, that certainly the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office have not been good at dealing with social media. The TBI a little bit better. You know, the media person, Leslie Earhart, she does respond sometimes on social media, but they've not been good. Whereas other cases that I've covered from the US, they've been very good at assisting and using social media to their benefit, and just ignoring the issues, just learning to ride out some of the silliness and using social media to their benefit. The Idaho case, I think, is a good example of that. The way that they handled, the Moscow PD handled their press conferences, I was very impressed by the way that they engaged the media and social media. I really was. I think that there's some real examples of good practice there, just in my opinion. But certainly I think the UK is behind many parts of the US who are way better at engaging social media in an effective way. Okay. Finally, we'd like to put on record our thanks to everyone who contributed to the review. Nicola was at the centre of this investigation, and we are left in no doubt that Nicola, her family and friends were at the forefront of every Lancashire Constabulary officers and staff members' minds as they worked to find her. Their dedication while dealing with the scrutiny placed upon them should not be underestimated. The Constabulary welcomed the review team with transparency and candour. What's candour? Anyway, it is of significant credit to Lancashire Constabulary that their officers and staff have displayed and continued to display a real willingness to learn. We stand ready to support them, the police and the Crime Commissioner and wider policing as we look to implement the important learning for this review. So this is Andy Marsh, CEO of the College of Policing, Review Chair, Dr. Ian Raphael, College of Policing. Okay. Executive summary. So this is just the overall summary. Okay. Sister lives in Lee. Oh, that's not far from here. I got a dog from Lee once. My Bella, my Yorkie, who died last year, was from Lee. Oh, I got someone in Warrington. Wigan! Hey! Wigan. My granddad's from Wigan. Got lots of relatives in Wigan. I don't know them, but I do. All right, executive summary, so the overall summary. The Nicola Bulley case provided an unusual, challenging set of circumstances for Lancashire Constabulary. The investigation generated unprecedented levels of mainstream and social media for a missing from home case, which turned out to be an accidental death after Nicola had fallen into cold water. Because there was no evidence of a crime and no arrests were made, legal proceedings were not active. The media were therefore free of reporting restrictions. So basically, the media could just say whatever they wanted, and they did. The press office of Lancashire Constabulary's media and engagement team logged more than 500 media calls and 75,000 inbound social media comments. Whoa! They just could not deal with that kind of thing. Like I said, Lancashire Constabulary, it's the majority of its efforts and the majority of its crimes. I know this because I did research for Lancashire Constabulary. I worked with Lancashire Constabulary for 2 years. I know the systems. I know the way they work. And yes, that's a few years ago, but I can't imagine how they dealt with 75,000 inbound social media comments on the Nicola Bulley case. I mean, she was only missing for 23 days. I mean, there's no way they could have dealt with that. No way. At the peak of attention from the media, the investigation generated 6,500 news articles globally in a single day. On social media, the BBC estimated that TikTok alone featured videos with the hashtag of Nicola Bulley's name that had 270 million views in total. Wow. That's just on TikTok. A number of factors had an impact on Lancashire Constabulary's management of communications during the investigation, including a global social media frenzy, including amateur detectives on the ground in St Michael's on wire posting content to social media channels, a search specialist involved in the case undertaking independent media activity, limited coordination of police and family media activity, a search process that was lengthened and complicated by tidal flows and difficult river conditions. So from the weir in St Michael's, the river is tidal all the way to the coast, which created a problem because obviously when a river's tidal, it's moving things backwards and forwards. In contrast to the management of communications, the police investigation into Nicola's disappearance itself was highly professional and was delivered to a very high standard. Lancashire Constabulary quickly identified this internally as high risk, and they deployed significant resources beyond what would normally be anticipated to find Nicola. So the press conference that I mentioned, where they said that she was a high-risk person, she was a vulnerable person, and it was that then sparked loads of questions at the presser. They didn't answer, and then an hour after the presser had ended, they had to release this media statement to say she was high-risk vulnerable because she had these alcohol problems, she was menopausal, and she was having headaches, and she was having problems. So yeah, they could have dealt with that better. All right. Okay, so Lancashire Constabulary quickly identified this internally as a high-risk case, and they deployed significant resources beyond what would normally be anticipated to find Nicola. The investigating team started with a working hypothesis that Nicola had gone into the river while not closing off other options. Ultimately, this hypothesis was proved to be correct following a substantial and professional search operation. In support of this hypothesis, the investigating team had background information on Nicola that was not publicly available. The ways in which this information was eventually communicated to the public proved to be the most controversial aspect of the investigation. The failure to brief the mainstream media on a non-reportable basis on this information or to adequately fill the information vacuum allowed speculation to run unchecked. Yes, they didn't harness social media. They didn't engage social media in a way that could have been more productive for them. That was one thing that I had a concern with. But it's just lack of training. That's all. They'd never dealt with anything like this before. Never. Not in my lifetime, as there being a case in Lancashire as big as this. This led to an extraordinary increase in media and public interest in the case, which was fueled by several newsworthy elements. These included the apparent mystery of why Nicola had disappeared, leaving behind her dog and leaving behind her mobile phone still connected to a Microsoft Teams call. The loss of control over the media narrative by Lancashire Constabulary was, in part, due to the decision-making and leadership of the Chief Officer team. While all the component parts of an effective response were present, they were not fully delivered to the level required. Improved awareness, decision-making and oversight from the Chief Officer team would have proved beneficial, including recognition of the added significance and complexity caused by media and social media interest. Once control of the media narrative had been lost, Lancashire Constabulary faced an extraordinarily difficult task in regaining it. Their attempts to do so eventually led to the unnecessary public disclosure of sensitive personal information about Nicola Bulley. Yeah, they felt forced into it. And they didn't need to. They didn't need to do it, which was widely criticised. This independent external review has found that the investigation into Nicola's disappearance was very well handled and resourced. Significant challenges were created by not declaring the investigation a critical incident when it was clear that Lancashire Constabulary was being criticised. and that there was a risk to public confidence. This decision had a negative impact on the many aspects of handling of this case, including the strength of the gold leadership structure and the decision-making, the deployment of family liaison officers, and the person nominated at the face of the constabulary to the public and media. Oh, what was her name? It was Sally at first, and then there was... who was the woman who was doing the press conferences? I can't remember her name now. I can picture her. Was her name Rebecca? I can't remember. Can't remember her name. Anyway, Caligal, thank you so much for the $20. Thank you. Rebecca, yeah. Rebecca, I can picture her. All right. The review finds that the decision to release Nicola's personal information was avoidable and unnecessary. It's hoped that this report will result in learning for Lancashire Constabulary. Okay. Methodology. So this is the methods they used, the things that they did in order to conduct this review. This independent external review, so it's going to be called the review from now on, was led and chaired by ACC, now retired, Dr. Ian Raphael. Supporting him was a team consisting of investigation, media, legal, and data sharing experts. Throughout the review, the team drew on subject matter experts to ensure the accuracy of the findings. All who participated were independent from Lancashire Constabulary, although Twitter will say that they weren't. But anyway, the review adopted the following strategic priorities to guide its work: to conduct a timely, professional and thorough learning review of the investigation by Lancashire Constabulary of the high-risk missing person Nicola Bulley, in line with the terms of reference set by Lancashire Police and Crime Commissioner. To conduct the review in a sensitive way, in particular with regard to the family of Nicola Bulley. To ensure the findings of the review were evidence-based and quality assured by experts or advisors commissioned by the review team. To conduct the review in an ethical and transparent way that appropriately recognises the needs of those involved directly or indirectly in the investigation. To manage all communications around the review in line with the approach agreed in the terms of reference. Becky Smith, thank you. Becky Smith. What happened to Sally? They dropped Sally, didn't they? Sally just stopped turning up. Okay. The review included assessment of a significant volume of documentary evidence, interviews with relevant officers and staff from Lancashire Constabulary, and input from external subject matter experts. Desk research was conducted, including collation and review of more than 350 documents, emails, and phone records supplied by Lancashire Constabulary, alongside other relevant material, including College of Policing Authorised Professional Practice, APP, guidance documents. The documents supplied by Lancashire Constabulary included investigation and communication strategies, policy logs from the key personnel, Gold Group meeting minutes. What's the Gold Group? I don't know. And Chief Officer team minutes and emails. Hundreds of press cuttings, broadcast articles, and social media posts were also reviewed. Oh, no. Oh, no. I wonder if any of ours are in there. Face-to-face or remote interviews were conducted with more than 70 people involved in the investigation, including the Chief Constable, the Deputy Chief Constable, members of the Gold Group, the PIP4, the Strategic Investigations Advisor, qualified to Level 4 of the Professionalising Investigations Programme. I've no idea what that is. The Senior Investigating Officer. So that was Becky, wasn't it? That was Becky. The Investigating Officer, Police Search Advisors, Family Liaison Officers, the Private Diving Expert. No way, they interviewed Peter. Oh, no. I bet they all had to go and have a lie down after that. I bet they all had to go and lie down in a darkened room. the private diving expert who participated in the search for Nicola, the head of the media engagement team, press office members, the head of legal services, and data protection officer. National and local broadcast and print media were also involved in reporting the story, also interviewed. The parent, sister, and partner of Nicola were given the opportunity to participate in the review but declined for personal reasons. The review has continued to offer updates and engagement with Nicola's family as it progressed. Face-to-face or remote interviews were also conducted with, or written submissions were received from, more than 30 subject matter experts who were not directly involved in the investigation, including the National Police Chiefs Council, lead for missing persons, the National Police Chiefs Council, lead for media. I'll just say NPCC. NPCC, lead for family liaison, lead for strategic underwater search, the Defence Science and Technology Laboratory, the National Crime Agency, oh wow, the National Police Coordination Centre, the Society of Editors, the Crime Reporters Association, I've never heard of that, the Independent Press Standards Organisation, the Information Commissioner's Office, the Office of Communication, Ofcom. Oh, no way, they interviewed Ofcom. You only ever hear of Ofcom when when somebody says something controversial on the TV, like they say fuck or something, and tons of people write in, and then Ofcom get involved, and then the TV station has to issue an apology that someone swore. Oh, yeah. It's the only time you ever hear of Ofcom. The Connect team, don't know what they are. National advisors, senior police communicators. Before publication, this review report was subjected to a fairness and disclosure process to ensure its accuracy. Further details of the methodology can be found in Appendix D. So we'll get to that when we get to that. All right, let's read a little bit of this. Let's read the early response. Let's just have a quick look. Where I'm going to read up to. Oh, I might read some of this. Let me just see how long I've been on. Oh, I've only been on for 47 minutes. I'm going to try and keep this like an hour and a half, and then then they're more watchable, because I'm going to just break it up into several parts. So I'll be back like tomorrow with part 2 or whatever. Okay. But obviously you can just go and read it yourself if you want. The link to the College of Policing is in the description box, and then you can just click get full report and it just downloads as a PDF. Okay, investigation, early response. On Friday, 27th of January 2023 at 11:01, Lancashire Constabulary received a 999 call from Paul Ansell, who raised concerns for the welfare and safety of his partner Nicola Bulley. Mr. Ansell had last seen Nicola earlier that morning preparing to take their 2 children by car to school. Footage recorded by their house video doorbell supported this. Although people said that it's fake, that it was fake footage, that it wasn't that day, that, oh man, I lost the will to live. I lost the will to live when that Ring doorbell footage was released, and it was just crazy. I just couldn't anymore. I couldn't. That was it for me. Okay, the footage also corroborated. Oh, and it wasn't really Nicola who got in the car. It was her friend Emma, as if Nicola's daughters wouldn't have known that it wasn't their mother who was driving them to school. Somebody even said to me that they just told the daughters not to speak to her. It's like, they don't know who Emma is, even from the back. It's like, you absolute crackpot. It's some people, they're so, they have to have their theory and nothing can shake it. And oh dear. Oh, stop. Just stop. This footage also corroborated the location of Mr. Ansell that morning, confirming his continued presence at home. Remember the bins? Oh, yeah. I remember the bins. I remember the bins being talked about. Oh, man. And the fact that Paul didn't leave the house, people were saying, yeah, but maybe he climbed out of the window at the back. Okay, he did that. All right, he did that. Ran 3 miles, threw Nicola in the river, and then ran 3 miles back. Of course he did. That's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did without being spotted by anybody. That's exactly what he did. Okay, all before 9:30. Prior to calling the police, Mr. Ansell had been contacted by the school, who informed him that the family dog, Willow, had been found running loose and distressed by a bench in a field near to the school. So, so many things about Willow. Penny. Oh, poor Penny. The woman at the farm. Oh, no. I saw Penny. She smiled at me. She didn't shoot me. She didn't throw me in the river. She didn't shoot my dog. She just smiled. That was it. That was it. All right. Okay. Dear God. Maybe it's because I didn't trespass on her land. I didn't upset her sheep. I didn't upset her chickens. I didn't go rifling around her house. Maybe that's why she smiled rather than got annoyed. Maybe. I don't know. All right. Okay. Nicola was known to often walk in this field with her dog along the river wire. Her mobile phone had also been located on the bench along with the dog's harness and lead, which were found lying on the ground between the bench and the riverbank. The riverbank at this location is short but steep, with no footholds or handholds. Although people said that there are steps that you can climb up. Okay. It was normal for Nicola to remove the harness and lead from the dog and the lead. The lead was there attached to the harness. Okay. After entering the field, as the dog was still unleashed, this gave an indication that Nicola had not been ready to leave the field. Mr. Ansell telephoned the police before making his way to the location to retrieve her items and conduct a search. Following the emergency call at 11:01, the incident was initially recorded as a call for concern by the call handler, so the dispatch person. However, following a review of the information in this initial telephone call by the district response inspector, it was upgraded within 27 minutes and declared a high-risk missing person. Okay. So it took them 27 minutes to declare. They're not even steps, Mike. They're not steps. I mean, at one point, I think they could have been used as steps. Like, they're artificial. They've been like carved into the bank, but they're not usable as steps. They're very steep. There's no handholds, and there's not even enough. There's no foothold. They're just really narrow. You couldn't use them to get out of that river unless you had somebody to help you. Okay. All right. So it took 27 minutes. So before 11:30, her case had been declared a high-risk missing persons case. Okay. Undertaking prioritised tasks and actions. In this 999 call to the police, Mr. Ansell stated that Nicola had been recently suffering from mental health, had been experiencing the menopause, and had been suffering from depression. So Nicola was 45. So she was in that age group, although I'm considerably older than Nicola. And I've not had any signs or symptoms of the menopause at all. Not one. Nothing. Nothing. It's like, no way. No way. All right. Okay. But remember that 1 in 4 to 1 in 5 people at some point will suffer from poor mental health status. So this is not unusual. This is not something that should be taken lightly, but this is not necessary to assume that she's just going to jump in the river and leave her dog behind. Okay. All right. Millions of people across the world suffer from depression and they don't go and jump in rivers. Some do, most don't. Okay. He also stated that she'd been okay that morning, nothing untoward. And this is very unlike Nicola, totally out of character. That was recorded in the initial call log. Okay. The conference call. So for those that don't know what that was about, she was a mortgage advisor. It's like she arranged people's finances and stuff so they could get a mortgage. And she was on a conference call, a Microsoft Teams call, which started at 9 and finished at 9:30. So she was muted and her camera was off because she was walking, because she was just listening, which was normal. If anybody had to work from home during the pandemic, that was normal. To mute yourself and either have your camera on or off, it didn't really matter. But to mute yourself when somebody else was talking and you were listening. So it wasn't unusual that she would be muted. There was nothing strange. She was walking along listening to this Microsoft Teams call, which finished at 9:30. However, when her phone was found at 9:33 by Penny, the call was still logged in. So she disappeared between 9:20 and 9:30. All right. But nobody on the other end of that conference call, which probably was very boring. It was just probably just like mortgage talk. I don't know. Nobody would have heard anything because she was muted and her camera was off. Okay. All right. So high risk. Authorised professional practice, APP, is produced by the College of Policing as the official source of the professional practice in policing. The Missing Persons APP states that anyone whose whereabouts cannot be established will be considered as missing until located, and their well-being or otherwise confirmed. The APP describes that all reports of missing persons sit within a continuum from low risk through medium risk, then high risk. High risk is defined as the risk of serious harm to the subject or the public is assessed as very likely. So the fact that her phone was on a bench next to a river, the dog lead and harness was in between the bench and the river, and in between that there's a very, very steep bank, and the dog was there looking distressed at the river. That to me is enough to call this a high risk situation. They could have said that it was a high risk situation because they believed she got in the river. They didn't need to go on into her mental health. They didn't need to. They could have just said she was high risk because of the circumstance of the environment that she was last seen at, and that she was clearly there because her dog was there. Okay. The high risk category almost always requires the immediate deployment of police resources. A member of the senior management team must be involved in the examination of initial lines of inquiry and approval of appropriate staffing levels. Such cases should lead to the appointment of an investigating officer and possibly an SIO, so senior investigating officer, and a POISA. What's that? I've forgotten. POISA, police search advisor. Okay. We'll get used to these acronyms by the end of this. We'll get used to these acronyms. So a search advisor, police search advisor. Okay. The volume of missing persons incidents recorded by the police is substantial. The latest data suggests that in 2021-22, there were 256,030 missing person incidents recorded nationally, of which 40,648 were graded high risk. So just like where you live, where I live in the UK, missing persons, it's crazy. There's so many of them. The majority are found with that incident, or either run away or whatever, or sadly they're found deceased. But nothing would have prepared Lancashire Constabulary for how this story just blew up. Given that there's thousands and thousands of missing people at any one time, why did this one case blow up? And others, I'm lucky, I tried to cover cases in my local area, and it's very, very difficult to get anybody to be interested in them. Why this? Why this one? I don't know. Okay, so 40,648 were graded high risk. The percentage of these incidents resulting in a fatal outcome was 0.35%. So 1/3%. So the vast majority of them are located alive and well. And then some not at all. And sadly, in 1/3%, they're fatal. For the same period, Lancashire Constabulary recorded 7,575 missing persons incidents, of which 1,274 were graded high risk, and there were 40 fatal outcomes. So those are the national. So this is between 21 and 22. So they wouldn't have had the figures for 22, 23. I don't think they'll probably come out maybe the end of this year. I don't know. But those are the figures that they're going off. So Lancashire Constabulary alone, they currently had 7,575 missing persons cases, 1,274 were graded high risk, 40 fatal outcomes. So in the entirety of the year, there was only 40 fatal outcomes of missing people in Lancashire. So it's not many compared to the amount of people that go missing. Okay, by 11:27, a response police car and 2 officers were deployed to meet with Mr. Ansell as first respondents. An officer was also designated as the dedicated missing persons search manager. This role provides a 24/7 response to triage and coordinate a search for the missing person based on the circumstances of the disappearance. They also act as a single point of expertise, direction, and experienced oversight. Okay. The initial response was overseen by a local chief inspector. A significant number of multi-agency resources were deployed that morning. In support of the unified local response, these resources were coordinated by the missing person search manager. So all this is happening that very morning. This is all happening that very morning, right? For people who say, oh, they didn't even bother to search for her until the day after. No, this all was happening that very morning. Unfortunately, she was already deceased, but they didn't know that then. These resources were coordinated by the missing person search manager, providing specialist direction and experience. His Majesty's Coast Guard was contacted and further specialist support services were deployed, consisting of Lancashire Constabulary Dog Unit, Lancashire Constabulary Drone Team, the Police Search Advisor people, Lancashire Fire and Rescue Service, Swift Water Team, Bowland Pennine Mountain Rescue Team, Lancashire Area Search and Rescue, National Police Air Service, Northwest Police Underwater Search and Marine Unit, who could probably come up with a better acronym than that. But I don't know. What do I know? Okay. By 1442, so that's 20 to 3, an underwater thermal camera had been deployed to search the River Wyre close to the bench area, but with no trace of Nicola. Okay. So there was already lots of people searching, lots of people deployed. By that afternoon, they got the thermal camera in there. Of course, she wasn't there, because I timed how long it would take the body to move. People didn't believe me. The specialist support services deployed to the scene were directed to the work according... I'll start that again. The specialist support services deployed to the scene were directed to work according to the most likely theory, hypothesis, as documented by the search person lead. Having assessed the initial information, and if you went there, you'd know what the assessment was. She's in the river. She's in the river. What am I being asked to look at? Ask Michelle to look at it. What am I being asked to look at? Oh, I wish someone would cover my daughter's friend's case. Brianna Gay. Going to trial next week. Brianna Gay. Never heard of it. Hold on. Brianna Gay. Trial. Oh, I know this case. Okay. The trial of a boy from Lee and a girl accused of the murder of Warrington teenager Brianna Gay is set to proceed as planned next week. February 11th, a 16-year-old transgender schoolgirl was found on a path. Oh, I remember this. Is that gone to trial? Manchester Crown Square. I shall keep my eyes on that. Okay. All right. The specialist support services deployed to the scene and directed to work according to most likely theory as documented by the search lead. Having assessed the initial information, there can be considered to be 4 categories of missing person: ill or injured, lost persons, voluntary gone missing, or under the influence of a third party. So they're ill, they're injured, they're stuck somewhere. They're lost. They don't know where they are. They're confused. They walk off of their own accord and don't want to be found, or under the influence of a third party, so abducted. All right. Okay. From the outset, the working hypothesis, a theory that is provisionally accepted on the basis as the basis for future research, may be subject to change. For this search was categorized as missing persons who are ill or injured. These are persons who do not want to be missing, but have suffered some kind of injury or illness that has resulted in them not completing a journey and subsequently being reported as missing. Okay. So the search lead also documented the other two categories, third-party involvement and the missing person voluntary going missing, were not discounted. These categories were acknowledged as part of the search strategy from the outset. However, inquiries conducted by the investigation team did not provide any information or intelligence placing Nicola into one of the other categories. All searches were based on the working hypothesis that Nicola was ill or injured and had likely fallen into the river. The searches conducted also covered the adjacent land areas to the river in order to encompass less likely hypotheses such as body deposition or suicide. Later that day, Nicola's disappearance was further reviewed at a senior management meeting chaired by Chief Inspector. Searches were concluded at 7 p.m. due to health and safety concerns, as well as the challenges posed by searching in darkness. It's pretty dark around there. And in January, it's probably dark by 5 around here. So it was really cold as well. It wasn't as cold at the end of January as it had been in December, but it was still pretty chilly. The priority search area for the following day would focus on the river. So, initial grading emergency member, blah, blah, blah. So that's just what the review was. Okay. All right. I'm gonna stop reading there, and I want to play you because I want to end this in like about 15-20 minutes. I want to play you a video of the area. Which one shall I play? Oh, do you remember that harness test? Oh, you can't see it, can you? Remember that harness test I did? I don't know which one to play. All the footage I took from the scene. 3.5 hours. Oh, I'll play you this one. No, I won't play that one. Because that one... I tried to live stream from the scene. That was the 6th of February. I tried to live stream from the scene, but it just went completely wrong. So I'm going to play one from the next time I went. Let's play you. I should have just decided which to play beforehand. I had some proper snarky videos about Peter folding. No way. Oh, let's play a gate test. That's only 3 minutes. And then let's play... Oh, yeah. We'll play a gate test. And maybe we'll play... maybe that one. Doesn't give me the thingies. Oh, those of you who like Kyle, my son Kyle. I'll play the one with Kyle in it as well. I'll play those two. All right, so this is the gate test. So this is, I know I did a lot. So one theory was that Willow was found by the bench because Nicola went out of the gate, or was taken out of the gates, the gate into the field, and Willow couldn't get round the gate. So I was like, she's a Springer Spaniel, she's intelligent, of course she could get either round the gate, under the gate, whatever. So people just didn't believe me. So this is the test. This is Cassie's gate test. All right, so it's only 3 minutes. Let me know that you can hear this. Again at the bench, we are going to do a Cassie test. Can Cassie follow me through that gate? So we're going to do what happened, how Nicola's things were found. So that's standing in for harness and lead, part way down the embankment. That's the phone on the bench. And we're going to tell Cassie to stay. And we're going to see if she can get through the gate. Stay, 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 stay. Go on, go on. No. Stay, no. Cassie. This way, Cassie. This way. Can you imagine if someone was trying to kidnap me through this? Is Cassie awake at the moment? No, she's in the other room. She's asleep. Or else she'd be wagging around. She's fast asleep. It's gone Cassie's bedtime. She's not interested in live streams at night. All right. So Cassie's not very good at stay in a naturalistic environment. She'll stay in the house, but she won't stay in a naturalistic environment. Oh, I can feel a dog coming in. Who's that? Oh, that's Noodle. Noodle's just come in. All right. Okay. I didn't have Noodle then. All right, I wouldn't have taken Noodle anyway, because he's like Tilly, a bit clueless. All right, let's carry on. Scared? Can you imagine? Hi, Cassie. Oh, wow. There you go. Well, that was a quick video. That was a quick video, wasn't it? Shall we do it again? Should we do it one more time? Stay. Straight to the style. Boom! Good girl. Good girl. You guys. What are you going to say now? What are you going to say now? One more time. One more time. Because she's actually enjoying it. If she was stressed, I wouldn't have done this more than once. Stay. Bye, Cassie. Good girl. Good girl. You're proving the internet wrong. Come on, good girl. Hey, never underestimate a Springer Spaniel. St. Michael's Angling Association, deep, dangerous water. Yeah, we ignored that sign. Boom. See you later. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Good girl. Guess who's woken up? Guess who's woken up partway through that? Cassie. Cassie's here, wagging her tail. She heard her video, her favourite video. How big was Willow? About the same size as Cassie. by the looks of her. Like a working type springer. They tend to be kind of smaller than the show type springers. All right, I'm going to play you Kyle's video. All right, y'all, here we are again. Hold on. Okay. Can't remember what it was called. It was one of the later ones. Is it that one? I should make my titles more descriptive. Right, I should just put Kyle video. You don't realise when you go back through your old videos. I think it was this one. Right, guys, this is an experiment. Oh, it is. It is. Right, so this was the 2nd of May. This was the 2nd of May. So this was the last time I went. So obviously the foliage is really high. You know, this is we'd had some hot weather, so nothing like it was on the 6th of February. It looked completely different than it would have done when Nicola disappeared. No clickbait though, yeah. All right. Let's watch this. This is Kyle's video. So, Cassie's got some choices to make. I'm going to go over this style. And... okay, we'll try that again. She slipped a collar. Right, I'll tell you what the plan is. Cassie's got 4 choices to make. Why can I not get over this style? Cassie's got 4 choices. So, Kyle is going to operate Kyle Cam. And I'm going to go over the style 2 minutes. He's going to count 120 seconds. Cassie's got 4 choices. She can either follow me, follow Kyle. Kyle's going to go through the gate. She can stand here looking nervous, or she can just run off and do her own thing. Those are her 4 choices. All right, so... She's just going to slip it again. Well, just make sure she doesn't. How do I do that? Put her on your knee. She's just going to attack me. She's not going to attack you. Right. Start your timer. Cassie's behind me wagging her tail madly. Oh dear. I'm having to like move out because I'm laughing so much. Right, he's manhandling her now. She's not having it. Right, so I'm going to go and hide. This is emulating the Nicola going off on her own, either through kidnap or through, I don't know. What? Good girl. Good girl. See, I'm her human. She knows which side her bread's buttered on. I feed her, I walk her. She sleeps in my bed. What did she do? She wrestled you. She wrestled you. Right, put her on her lead. And then once your 120's up, take her off the lead then. I thought you could actually handle. Well, it is a heavy animal. A heavy animal. She's 15 kilograms. Right. Incentive. Smackaroos. So Kyle's going to have the smackaroos. to hopefully keep her occupied. Right, start your timer. She's not happy. She's not happy. Right, he's keeping her occupied with smackaroos. So I'm being kidnapped right now, or I'm going off on my own, or I don't know, whatever. But I've got 2 minutes to go and hide. Because in 2 minutes, I think you could get up over to that path there if you were walking fast. Right. So Kyle Cam's going to be filming the other end. If you can manage to not get attacked by a Springer Spaniel or something. But I'm just going to keep walking. Right, where can I hide? I know where I'll go. I know where I'll go. Go down the bank here. Right, let's say I decided to fall in the river down here. I could go as far as the weir, but don't really have time for that. Should have said 5 minutes rather than 2 minutes. Right, I'm gonna hide here. He's still at the bench. I can see him. All right, before I sit and wait, I'll say this is actually quite difficult for a dog, because I'd like double back on myself a little bit. And what's on the ground there is wild garlic. It smells really strong. So unless Cassie put her nose down and traced my scent on the ground, the air scent, she couldn't track me by air because I double back. So the scent just kind of disappears unless she put her nose down. And she didn't because she was stressed. I actually ended this before she got too stressed because she couldn't find me because she was panicking. So it kind of shows you that she's an inexperienced search dog. She'd never done this kind of searching before. Like, I've trained her to search for objects, but she'd never tracked me before. So just to let you know. But anyway, I sit and wait here for a couple of minutes. Look at how much this has grown. God knows what situation he's in now. Ow! Ow! Right, shh. Right, I'm down the bank. He's obviously managed to deal with her in some way. There's more people there. Oh, I look ridiculous. Never mind. Wonder what's happening on Kyle's end. Here she comes. She's tracking me. Here she is. She's looking for me. Oh, bless her. She's scared. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Very good girl. Good girl. She's tracking back my scent now. She's done that the first time, silly girl. Oh, good girl. Good girl. Oh, good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. What happened at your end?
I don't know, I took ages because I wanted to put two to step back to that dog.
Oh. So what happened when you went through the gate?
I didn't even get to the gate actually.
Oh, did you not?
Let her off a collar and just run off.
Oh.
I didn't even get to the gate.
So I don't know whether you caught that, but as soon as he let her off her line, she ran off. Did she go over the stile?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been running around here. I was over there. But she was going like past the fence where I went down, and then I kind of backed up on myself. But I think she was a bit confused. Good girl. She's definitely my dog.
Well, she's got to get back in my car like this.
Come on, Cass. This way. Good girl. All right. There we go. There we go. So my idea behind that was to show that if Willow had been left at the bench, because Nicola had been kidnapped, or she'd walked off on of her own accord, Willow would not have stayed at the bench, that she'd have tried to follow Nicola. So I think that demonstrated it perfectly. So what Cassie was doing, she tracked my scent down to the place where I went down the bank, but she didn't realise if she'd have put her nose to the ground, she'd have got me straight away. But what she did is she went back. She couldn't find me, so she went back to the location she last saw me and then tried again. So it wasn't like she was going back to Kyle. She just completely ignored Kyle. She went back to the place where she last saw me. So she knew I was somewhere along that path. So what Willow would have been doing she would have been running madly, like in a wider area, or she'd have been found in a location completely different than at the bench. She stayed at the bench because that was the last place she'd seen Nicola. So it was clear to me, very clear to me, what had happened on the 6th of February when I went there for the first time. It was obvious to me what had happened. Yeah, we did have a big discussion over that test. We did. We did. Oh, thank you, Karen. Coverage was best on YouTube by miles. Peter Faulding has finally told his story. Oh, I know. I know he has. We'll talk about Peter Faulding when we get to that point in this report. We'll do it in the ordering that it all appears in the report. So we're up to page 17 of 143. So I was the only one that stayed with the fall in the river from day one. Yeah, I mean, I did consider all the other points, all the other possibilities. I really did. And I kept going back and thinking, could it be possible that this happened or that happened? So I wasn't wedded to that theory. It just was obvious to me. It just was really obvious to me. It really was. All right, so I'm going to come back tomorrow and read more. But the link to this is in the description box. Oh, look, the behaviour of Nicola's dog. I'm going to talk about tomorrow. Good. Does it talk about Willow? Because Willow was the key bit. Was the key bit. All right. I shall see you tomorrow on this channel for more on this. If you want more on this, join me tomorrow. I don't know what time yet, but I'll give you a little bit of notice. And yeah. All right, guys. So thank you for the donations. I don't think I've had any mods in, but I always thank the mods. So thank you to the mods because they do a great job. And I'll see you tomorrow. So I'll be on this channel for Nicola Bulley, and then I'll be on Michelle After Dark with a video, a recorded video. I don't know what case, whether it'll be Delphi or whether I'll do another case. I don't know. All right. I'll see you tomorrow anyway. Bye, guys.